Greetings and salutations. My name is Chance Kelly, and this is Video Ghoulash. Today we're going to talk about the uncrowned king of Halloween, Kringle Candle Company. I've got a pretty good haul from 2023, and maybe a couple of bonuses from years before. Let's kick off with Sinister. Little spooky eyes going on and everything. It's a creepy label. It's pretty awesome. So, the first thing I'm struck by is how grounding this is, even though it smells like wine, berries, but I'm really curious as to what kind of wood is in this. It's a sharp, kind of a beautiful wine, and there's something creamy going on with this. There's a spice that kind of plays across the top. This reminds me of wassail, kind of, if wassail was scary. The notes on this are at the top: ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom. In the mid, we've got Moscato wine, dark plum, and cranberries. The base is amber, vanilla, coconut, and musk. Sinister really transforms when you burn it. It becomes a whole nother beast. I don't think I've smelled anything quite like this. You've got these wine notes, this beautiful Moscato wine. You've got cranberry on the bitter end, and you've got a dark plum. The note in here, though, that's the star, isn't something that's forefront. It's the coconut. Let's get into the coconut. You're not going to smell this candle and go, oh, coconut. It's there, it's an enhancing element, but it's working with the berries, it's working with the plum and the Moscato wine. It's working with the spices as well, and it's lending into the vanilla and the amber, making it kind of creamier, milkier, which is really interesting. But what I want to impress upon you here is the coconut is working with this musk scent that they have. It's making it richer and more savory. It's really interesting. Coconut's not always sweet. There's an element to it that if you blend it with the right things, it can enhance savory notes and give you something that's sort of intriguing. So the coconut's transforming this musk in a really tricky way to almost a woody kind of a note. It's really impressive. Quite an intriguing concoction here. Spooky. This candle sort of has a demonic vibe, at least for me. I'm not really sure how I got there with it, but when I smell it, I'm getting the wine, I'm getting the cream, I'm getting this weird, dark, mysterious, almost woody savor. Yeah, it's kind of a demonic vibe. I'm going to shoot it an 8. I think the throw was about a 7. It filled up the room. It did a nice throw. This is a subtle sort of a scent. It's not going to punch you in the face. Overall, 9. It's intriguing. It surprised me. This is not a candle I would have chosen. I actually bought this candle because Jen, my girlfriend, she read the notes on it and said, that sounds interesting. And I ended up liking it, I think, better than her. Up next, Trick or Treat. Smell my feet. Give me something good to eat. Let's see what it is. I think this is a poison apple forefront. Yeah, I want to say there's a poison apple. It's sharp, yet kind of syrupy, but I think sort of a fresh red apple thing going on. It's almost cloying, but I think it's too complex to be cloying because there's a nice spice going on. There's a green note in here I really like. There's something really rich, kind of bitter, almost cologne-like. This is not what I expected out of this candle, I have to be honest. Not really sure how I like it. We'll see how it burns. The notes on Trick or Treat are at the top. We've got poison apple, green, aldehydic, fir, and marine. The mid notes are pine, cinnamon, and clove. And the base is sandalwood, musk, cedarwood, guaiac wood, and moss. Bunch of stuff that's hard to say. When you burn Trick or Treat, The poison apple is still floating across the top there, but everything is working in concert together really, really well in this candle. Things that are in the notes come forth that you don't necessarily smell on cold. You've got that poison apple floating across the top. You've got the pine, the fir. It's kind of this grounding element. The marine element, which I didn't really smell on cold at all, it comes forth a little bit. It's a really interesting note. You've got these different woods, but I think the guaiac wood and the moss are a really cool addition to this candle. It was interesting. I like how it melded together. Became a bit more of a fan of it once I burned it. That being said, I feel like this candle in particular might take a few burns to really hit its stride. Spook factor, I'm going to give it a 4. It's a poison apple, so I mean, I guess it's a little spooky. It didn't really evoke much for me as far as all of the other notes. I didn't really get like a trick-or-treating vibe from it, so 4. The throw, I think the throw was like a 7. It wasn't like terribly strong. It nearly filled my room, so it was decent. Overall, overall I'll give it a 6. I liked it. I didn't really know if I liked it at first, but I ended up liking it okay. Again, I feel like after I burn it a few times, it'll probably hit its stride more. If you like poison apple scents, though, this is sort of a different take on a poison apple scent, so I would check it out. Witch's Cauldron. I know this is some people's absolute favorite, a lot of people's absolute favorite Halloween candle ever. I have to say, I missed out on this candle quite a few times, and this was the first year I got to burn it. So, here we go. I mean, off the bat, I'm just getting kind of it's got to be cedar or a spicy kind of wood scent and some citrus. There's a clove there. That's nice. I like the clove. I like the sharp citrus, and I like the cedar, but I'm not that impressed. The label's rad. I mean, I don't know. I'm not getting anything spooky from it. The notes on Witch's Cauldron are clove, citrus, cedar, and incense. So burning Witch's Cauldron, it's a really simple candle. You've got kind of this smoky thing going on. The incense comes out a little bit. It is cedar to perfection. It's rich cedar with that nice spice. The citrus blooms when you burn it, and it gets almost sour. There's a beautiful witchy sort of element to this thing. I can see why people really do enjoy it. It's an X factor. I like that it has just a few simple ingredients, but it culminates into something more than the sum of its parts, which is really cool. That being said, I have to be honest, I don't know that this would even make the top 10 in best Halloween candles for me. Cool scent. I did dig it. Spook factor for me was only about a 6. It's intriguing. It's got the witchy woods kind of smoky element to it. So I did enjoy that about it. The throw was a 9. It filled the room, came out of the room. The throw was awesome on Witch's Cauldron. I think it's a 7 for me overall. I liked it. I didn't love it. It grew on me through the few burns that I shared with it, so we'll see where it goes from there. I do like the simplicity of it and that how those few ingredients are kind of magic together. Also just sort of a nice woody candle with some citrus, so it didn't blow my mind, I have to be honest. So let's talk about Witching Hour. By the way, Kringle labels are just rad. I love this label. I love all the labels on these. Not a weak one in the bunch. Woo! I love this. What? That is awesome. There's kind of like dried leaves and smoky, not charred smoky, like vaporous sort of incensey element right out front here. Maybe some dark berries, potpourri kind of hanging in the background though. This is, man, this is awesome. It's almost herbaceous. I feel like there's a green note in here, a sharp green note in here, but again, this has got this vapory incense potion like quality to it. This is, I could live here in this candle. This thing is awesome. I can't wait to burn this. The notes on Witching Hour are, at the top, we've got dried berries and earthy spices. The mid is jasmine petals, blue cypress, and violet leaf. Okay, yeah. The base is smoky, moss, sandalwood, and tonka bean. I've burned this thing so much. I love this candle. The jasmine petals, the violet leaf, the dried berries, but that violet leaf, it brightens things up. Violet leaf has this sharp, awesome green note that is one of my favorite notes in candles when it's done right. And it's done to perfection here. You've got these earthy spices. You've got this sandalwood going on. This blue cypress that is absolutely gorgeous. And this incense, this vaporous, foggy incense that is the star of the show, that's wrapping around everything, encapsulating everything. This is an awesome, witchy, potion-like scent. Probably one of my favorite things that I've ever smelled. I would put this easily in my top 10 candles for Halloween. Spooky, I think I'll give it a 9. It's really, really witchy. It definitely smells like a witch's potion. The throw on it, maybe an 8. This is not a strong, out there, blast you in the face scent. This is a subtle, soft, vaporous, supernatural scent. And it throws really well. It's beautiful, but it's a bit subtle. Overall, this thing is a 10. After a few burns, it hits its stride, and it's probably my favorite candle that I've smelled from Kringle in their Halloween line so far. Time to take a stroll down Cemetery Lane. Ooh, man, that's nice. It's really earthy. There's dirt there. It's almost like a sweet wood resin and wet dirt. This evokes a haunted house feeling for me. It's cold. It's oddly fresh. I don't know. It's maybe like an ozone, a fresh air. I can almost feel the fresh air on my skin here. Yet it's really oppressive and dark and moody. This is like a fresh, brighter cousin to Dungeon. If you've ever smelled Dungeon from Kringle, that was one of last year's scents. I don't know how long it went before, but this is like the more bougie cousin. Cemetery Lane notes are at the top. We've got dark, mysterious musk, midnight iris. Okay. Mid is patchouli and dried oak. Base, you've got creeping moss, dusky cedar, and sweet earth. Cemetery Lane, when you burn it, it opens up. It tells a brand new story. Everything blends so incredibly well in this candle, and it puts you inside a decrepit, palatial haunted house in a graveyard, maybe up on a hillock somewhere. You get the wet earth from outside, the damp dirt maybe blowing in through the broken windows. You get the musk and the mold and the grossness of time that's worn into the curtains and the fabrics. You've got a kind of charred, burnt, cold brick fireplace. No fire in it, just the char that's left over. There's a perfume maybe hanging on the air. There's cobwebs in the corners, but there's something inhabiting about the scent too, like something's watching you. This is an awesome, awesome scent. Puts you inside of a haunted house. Spook factor here is a 10. My girlfriend Jen, this was her favorite candle that she smelled. Maybe her favorite candle that she smelled from Kringle of any candle before. It absolutely transports you to another place. A haunted, palatial, evil house. Something ominous inhabiting. It's definitely spooky all the way. The throw on it, I'd say the throw is like an 8. It filled up the room really, really nicely. Overall, this is a 10. Cemetery Lane, I think, is a new classic. Up next is a 3-wick. We've got Forbidden Forest. Okay. It's really grounding and earthy. There's something sweet going on here. Maybe a honey. It's got a wet dirt vibe and a leather vibe going on. There's definitely, I think, a leather note in here. Maybe tobacco. If it's honey, it's a raw amber honey. The sweetness might be coming from the leather or tobacco, if there's either one there. I don't know. I haven't read the notes yet. It's soft around the edges. Something softens this around the edges, even though there's a wet dirt kind of creepy cemetery forest kind of a vibe. The notes on Forbidden Forest are, at the top, we've got earth incense, cinnamon stick, blackberry. The mid notes are raw honey, clove leaf, smoked leather. At the base, we've got patchouli, dark woods, and vanilla bean. When you burn this, it starts to lean a little cologne-like. The blackberry note, it blooms. You've got the sharp, bitter end of that. The earth incense, the dark woods, the patchouli, they blend with the leather. The leather comes out as a really rich note and sort of takes over a bit. Spook factor on this is about a 5. It's a Halloween candle, there's no doubt about it. You're not burning this unless you want some kind of a creepy vibe, so you're probably not burning it year-round. Or, I mean, maybe you are, because you're a freak like I am. The throw was only about a 6. It didn't quite fill the room. Overall, for me, this is, I'd say it's a solid 6. I'm not sure if I'd repurchase this one again. I think Kringle has more alluring and intriguing scents that I haven't tried. The leather, again, sort of takes over for this. And it is, like I said, it's got the creepy slant. You're not burning this any other time of year unless you really like leather or unless you burn creepy scents year-round like I do. Up next is Black Cats and Bats. I feel like we need a Black Cat's opinion of this. I don't think he cares for it. Well, you can listen to the BoogieCat Binx or you can listen to me. Listen to the cat. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Let's see what this is like. Woo! Okay, this is, it's earthy. It's wet, dirt. Something a little different here going on, though. It's smoky. There's a sweet kind of an element going on as well with the dirt, the damp earth. I'm going to say there's either leather or maybe tobacco. It's an herbal note and maybe some kind of a honey. There's something that's softening the edges here, but it's still got this wet dirt vibe. The scent notes on Black Cats and Bats are, we've got at the top black pepper and tobacco leaves. We've got in the mid, we've got smoked suede, pine sap, and red cedar. Okay, this is making sense. Base, velvet oak moss, and warm amber. There's also an onion note in this. Wait. No, I just ate a hamburger. I think that's just me. When you burn Black Cats and Bats, it opens up beautifully. There's this velvet oak moss note that I absolutely love. The tobacco scent blends really well with the woods and amber. Everything is sort of softening up with that suede. It's rich, but it's just sweet enough to blunt the edges. Yeah, you've got a black pepper too. The black pepper, it sort of sparkles across the top. This is a really cool scent. Spooky, it's foreboding yet rich. It's a little high class. I don't know. I'd say it's a 7. The throw on it, the throw's a 10. The throw was smash you in the face. It fills up the room, goes down the hall, fills up another room, and then wants some more. Overall, I'm loving this velvet oak moss and the tobacco leaves. It's just a really gorgeous scent. Overall, I'm going to give it an 8. Time for a coffee break, I think. Little pumpkin spice coffee. I see why Haunted Haven takes drink breaks. You really need it, you know? At least I do anyway, because this is taking forever to film. Let's do a little bonus action. Let's review Werewolf from last year. One of my favorites, actually. I love this candle. The top notes are vetiver and patchouli. The mid notes are wood and peppercorn. The base note is amber and spice. Now, I love this candle. I've burned this multiple times. It smells like a werewolf. There's really no other way to say it. A she-wolf, for me, at least if I'm being specific, because there's this spicy, sweet, almost sultry vibe, as well as a woodsy vibe. It's actually pretty terrifying scent because it smells like a werewolf, and it smells like maybe her hide. And if you're smelling the hide of a werewolf, you're too close. Spook factor on this, 9. I absolutely love werewolves. And again, the fact that you can almost smell the pheromones on the hide of, like I said, a she-wolf, that's pretty terrifying. You can feel the woods around you, the mist. It just rained, maybe. It's a spooky candle. The throw on it's an 8. It fills the room really easily. Maybe comes out of the room a little bit more. I have a big space, so it's a pretty good throw. Overall, this is a 10. This is a 10 for me. I'm a bit of a werewolf fanatic. I don't think it's easy to capture something that says werewolf, and I think Kringle did that here. I absolutely adore this. Again, it transports you to the woods after a rain. There's a mist. You can almost hear the growling. You feel that close to your own demise because you're probably about to get torn apart. And by the way, I'd like to add the masculine side of this scent, of a werewolf scent, belongs to South of Sanity, his werewolf. More on that later, but this thing is incredible. And the last bonus I'll do is Dungeon. This one was from last year. They didn't bring this back this year, but I think I mentioned it earlier when I was talking about Cemetery Lane. The top notes on it are earthy. The mid note is cedarwood. The base, tonka, and dirt moss. And let me tell you something. This is wet, damp, fetid, mud, dirt, earth. This feels like you're dead and buried and coming out of the grave. This thing is 100% gnarly. The spook factor on this is a 10. It's absolute doom. I couldn't even eat when I had this thing burning. It smelled like such strong, wet earth. Pretty gross, really intense. The throw on it, as I recall, it's a 10. I haven't burned it this season yet, but it's really, really strong. I remember it filling up the room, coming down the hall, and our whole house sort of smelling like a graveyard. Overall, Dungeon's a 10. If you like scary, malevolent, terrifying, evoking type of candles, this is it. Again, you've got this wet earth, like you're coming right out of a grave, but there's a malevolent feeling about this candle. And maybe that's just my imagination, but honestly, what a candle evokes is just as important as what it smells like in reality. Well, as you can see, I've lost the light, which I think is appropriate. Thanks for sticking around with me through my Kringle Halloween candle haul review. I really appreciate your time. Please like, please subscribe. It does help me a lot. Can't wait to get into more of it with you, as always. There's more on the way. Keep it creepy. Smell you later.